What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm the House Hacking Mom, and today I'm going to share with y'all two recipes. One is a key lime pie recipe and the other is my kind of all-purpose quiche recipe. I'm going to be using a whole wheat short pastry crust. Super easy, super good. We got lots of chaos, regular real life happening right now, and I thought it'd be fun to put these two recipes together because they're both pie-esque type recipes. So I really hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and let's go ahead and jump into these recipes. All right, y'all, so to start off making the short crust pastry recipe, I prefer to weigh my ingredients. One, because it makes less dishes because you're not having to wash measuring cups, and also you're gonna get a more accurate, consistent result, which I really like. So we're gonna put our bowl on here and zero it out. We're going to be doing 2.5 ounces of all-purpose flour. There we go. And then 4 1/8 ounces of whole wheat flour. I've never tried using 100% whole wheat flour. I'm sure you could, but it might just be a little bit more hearty than you'd be used to in something like a pie, whereas this kind of 3/4 way is a little bit, just a little bit more of a traditional texture of a pie crust, while still being able to incorporate the extra flavor of using whole wheat flour. So we've got our flour in here. Next, we're gonna do our salt. I'm using kosher salt. This is 1/2 teaspoon, and I'm also using salted butter, just because unsalted butter seems to be hard to come by right now. So if you are not using salted butter, just go ahead and use either a full teaspoon of diamond kosher salt or 1/2 teaspoon of table salt, and it'll get you the same result. Then we've got our ice water ready here, and we're going to be doing 10 tablespoons of butter. And like I said, I'm using salted butter, but that's really just because I'm kind of saving my unsalted butter for applications where I can't use salted butter. So this is just barely more than 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this. It really shouldn't make that much of a difference to the recipe. This is a 2 tablespoon knob. It's kind of too small to grate. So I'm just gonna cut it up small here. And then I'm actually gonna rub this one in a little bit with my hands. When I do all grated butter, I have a hard time keeping my crust from being actually still flaky, but at the same time a little bit tough. I know that sounds weird, but it's a problem that I have. So if you have that problem also, I find that it does help to rub some of this butter in. So you're just going to kind of get in there with your fingers and kind of break it up and just sort of rub it really good into the flour. All right. All right, so you guys can kind of see this is worked in. So you guys can see this is worked in pretty finely. There's still some bits in there, but it is actually worked in there. Like here's an example of a bit of butter, but most of them are pretty worked in. So in the rest of this butter, I'm going to grate with the grater. And I should mention that this has been in the freezer for 10-ish minutes. So that helps it to grate a lot easier without melting in your hands. And this is about the time when you realize that you probably should have picked a slightly larger bowl, but that's okay. there's not any intense mixing really that goes along with a pie dough, so it's all right. So now we're going to do a 1/4 cup of water, whoop, or what is 4 tablespoons. I'm going to start with 3½ because I spilled a little bit there. Whoops. All right, this one is pretty good. Go ahead and add a little bit more here. We can add the extra half. All right, so you can see that despite the fact that that dough seems super dry and underhydrated, whole wheat flour takes a little bit longer to absorb water. So if you just give it a minute, it really does kind of absorb it. So that looks pretty good. Maybe a touch dry, but I'd rather a touch dry than a touch wet. Okay, just gonna wrap it up here and put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes. So now my crust has been in the refrigerator for roughly 30 minutes, and we're just gonna roll it out and put it in our tart pan. If there is one thing I have learned about pies, and I have made quite a few pies, it's that it's not worth being a hero trying to use just like the tiniest bit of flour. You want to not overdo it, obviously, but you can always use a pastry brush to brush off extra flour. It's just not, generally speaking, worth the grief of having your pie dough stick to the counter. So if you live in a warm climate like me, that is a constant struggle. And then also, I have a tapered rolling pin. I never really understood why rolling pins are tapered, but I have figured out a way to use it to my advantage. So if you kind of angle it on your pie dough, you can kind of use it to kind of pre-roll out the edges, and that can help with cracking. Now, obviously, I'm gonna have some cracks here. I think this dough is slightly underhydrated, but it'll be fine. All right, so this is the tart pan. I'm going to put it in. You could do this in a cast iron skillet. You could do it in a regular 9-inch pie dish. I like doing it in these deep tart pans because they can hold a lot. So that's really great for something like a quiche. So I'm just going to take my bench scraper and make sure my dough is nice and loose from the counter, which it should be. Oh, got little hands helping me. And then I just slide the whole false bottom underneath. Well, careful, buddy. And I just kind of fold it on over. Nope. And then slide this over. And then you just kind of unfold it. And that works great because it helps to keep you from stretching the dough too much, which can definitely be a problem. And then you're just gonna ease this in. Now this pie crust is about supposed to fit a dish this size. So if you have tons of extra, that's not good. That means that you have stretched your dough too far. You know, you should have some overhang, but not like tons and tons and tons. So if you do have a lot of overhang, just sort of keep pushing the dough in until you don't have a ton of overhang. Gray, no sir. No, gray. You think you're pretty funny, don't you, buddy? And then you can just kind of crimp the excess off. And that's good too because it will help to sort of stick the dough to the tart pan, which will also help with shrinkage. Good Lord. All right. So I'm going to put this into the freezer like this for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to poke it, and then I'm going to bake it in an oven at 375 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes until it looks like the bottom is very dried out and maybe even slightly browned, because that will prevent this quiche from having a soggy bottom. Now, you could, I'm sure, bake this quiche straight as is, just put the filling in it. But I have a very strong aversion to uncooked pie dough, and it's just hard for the pie dough to cook underneath that big filling. Even in an hour, I just prefer to blind bake it first. That's just the way I like to do it. So I'm going to put this in the oven 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll put the filling in. Okay, for the quiche filling, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eggs. Goodness, is that right? Yeah. This is about a 1/4 cup of just cheddar cheese. You could use Gruyere cheese, any kind of cheese that you like. And then we're just going to dot it with some goat cheese also. So here's the eggs.
Can I have some?
You're going to get to help whisk. And then I'm going to add a cup of heavy whipping cream.
Okay.
All right. And then we're going to add a couple good pinches of salt. Keep going. Wait, that's too much. Just pinches. There you go. One more. Maybe one more. Okay.
I'll do some pepper.
And some pepper.
I need it.
You can do it. I didn't know you could do it. It's a little hard. Good job.
Put some cheese in here.
Nope, no. We put the cheese in after. And you can just whisk it up, Charlotte. And we're also going to add a little bit of, this is cornstarch. I keep cornstarch in a little spice container like this so that it's easy to get to. And I believe it's about half a teaspoon, but I'm just going to add a couple like that. And that just helps it to set, have a nice, and the cornstarch just helps it to set and have a nice sliceable consistency. No, the cheese is going to go at the bottom of the pie crust. So just keep whisking that up, Charlotte. Whisk it up. Good. Don't touch it. All right, so this is the pre-cooked pie shell. You can see it's pretty good. Don't touch it, Gray. It's pretty good dried out. This is fresh out of the oven. No, sir. So we're just going to sprinkle the cheese here on the bottom. This will help to keep the liquid from coming too much in contact with the pastry so it doesn't get soggy.
I love cheese.
All right. And now for the filling, we've got a nice spring veggie filling here. It's basically just some frozen spinach that I had, a little bit of the
Beans.
a little bit of the spinach, a little bit of the broccoli that we had bought today. Gray, no, it's hot. Remember, this is super hot. Leftover peas in the fridge, and figured good idea to use them here. It's actually even like 2 tablespoons more, but I'm nervous that if I use any more, I'm going to overfill this quiche. So we're going to stop here. Yes. So we're going to stop here, and if there seems to be room for more, we can always add them on top. So now for the goat cheese. We have some little people who want to try some. So I'm just going to take off a nice big knob like that. And just kind of nestle it in. You can put it on the top and it will brown really nicely and give it kind of an extra nutting flavor. But if you want it to kind of get melty and have like little pockets. No, and have little, Greg, go get peas with Charlotte. And have like little pockets of melted goat cheese. If that sounds appealing. Then you kind of want to put them in like this so that the custard will cover them. So that looks pretty good. I love the bright green color. So here's our custard. Just gonna pour it in, and it's always a good idea to pour a little slow because sometimes you can't use it all. I think we're gonna be able to though today. Yay! Oh, that's so pretty. That's really pretty today. All right, so this is gonna go in the oven for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. I've had it take as long as an hour, and then I've had it take only 45 minutes. It seems to just kind of depend on how hot the crust is when I put it in there and all that sort of stuff. So I will leave specific directions in the description so you guys can follow it really nice and specifically. And for the key lime pie, I have 4 teaspoons of lime zest. This was a zest from 3 limes for me. If you have smaller limes, it'll probably be more about 4. And then we just have half a cup of lime juice and 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk and 4 egg yolks. And that's all that's going into the filling. So it's super, super easy. And just if you're curious, I have made the traditional key lime pie with the real key limes and not with the condensed milk, but the real deal with the custard. And truth be told, I noticed absolutely no difference. If anything, I liked this version a little bit better. So, it's a lot easier and it's a lot less expensive because your ingredients are cheaper. So that's kind of nice. 4 yolks in here. I'm going to go wash my hands. So I'm just going to whisk this together until it turns kind of a light pale green. What's up, buddy? So you can see after about 2 minutes of whisking, it's definitely fluffed up a little bit. It's lightened in color. So we're going to add the juice. And the milk here, the sweetened condensed milk. I will tell y'all, I have made homemade sweetened condensed milk. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Just buy the stuff in the can. The 50s got some things right. And it's just milk and sugar, which is the same things you're going to be doing. So it's not like you're going to be making a healthier version if you make this by hand. All right, so just going to whisk this up. Get it nice and homogeneous. And then we're actually going to let it just sit at room temperature, and it will thicken up quite a lot. All the acid and pectin in the fruit is going to set up this filling, but this is going to be a baked filling. So traditionally, key lime pie relies on the acid from the limes to set the custard, but we are going to bake it. So we're going to set this aside and then finish this after dinner. Travis.
I ignored an email from Morgan today. Sweet.
We're going to bring